heart. Now, hearts are symbols that have been used by mankind throughout history. We think of it as being a Valentine's Day. Perhaps it was a Valentine's to his sweet 16, but many, many cultures use the heart to symbolize many different parts of their emotional well-being. I'm sitting here at a table that was created exactly in the shape of the state of Florida. Lake Okeechobee is here in the middle, and where I'm sitting is exactly where the Coral Castle is, just south of Miami in a town called Homestead. Mr. Leedskallen hoped the people would come here, particularly the governor, and they could sit and talk about all the things that needed to be done and taken care of in the state of Florida. Well, it's been a long day at the Coral Castle, and now I think it's time to go to sleep. So I'm going to have a little lay down. Bye-bye.
Frances has been kind enough to hold over on line 5, her date of birth, January 30th. Good morning. You're on with Mary Michelle.
Good morning, Frances.
Good morning. I love your show. I just found out about your show.
Oh, well, thank you.
I've been very happy to get on with you. I'd like to know about my health, and also I'm thinking of buying a new car. Could you tell me what would be a good time?
Okay. You have the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Sagittarius. This is a harmonious angle. There might have been a few issues. Do you have a daughter?
Yes.
There might have been some issues with your daughter or women friends in your life in November that might have been a little, upsetting.
Well, you are psychic. You don't need a psychic with you.
Oh, well. Anyway, I think that this is going to be a little bit of an issue that you're going to have to work with. Did it affect your health in any way, do you think?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I think you have to try to find peace within your dreams. Are you able to remember your dreams?
Yes.
So if you try to write them down and really just the first idea that pops into your mind with your dreams, if you can sort of trust that feeling, trust the instincts. It's always the hardest thing for us to do in any area, whether it's about our health or our faith or our, psychological well-being. But you need to really trust that. Okay. You also, there was a big shift in January for your sun sign, the sign of Aquarius. Let's see, you have Venus in Pisces, Mars in Sagittarius. Yeah, that relates back to the daughter. Your issue is particularly your health.
Well, it was with my daughter, but now the next thing is the car. I'm a person that lives alone and doesn't know too much about cars, and I have been, the last time I really was rooked, and I want to know when would be a good time to buy a car.
Well, do you need it right away?
No.
It's probably better to wait a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Probably October.
Oh, you're very good.
Okay.
You're fantastic. You really are great.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate your call.
Frances, thanks for calling. Before we get to Anne Marie, who's calling from Mohegan, she said you're a psychic. Now, just so we get the record straight, what is a psychic? Are you a psychic?
I think you have to go back to the word root. Psychic. The word psyche means butterfly. It also means the soul. And I think people that are quote-unquote psychic, the idea of being psychic is that you can get in touch with your soul or your inner being or your inner light or whatever it is, whatever your particular religious philosophical belief is, that inward part of yourself. And I think we're all capable of that. I don't think it's restricted to any one particular kind of person. So I really feel that I am a little psychic when I trust myself enough to be able to get in touch with that part of myself, which I don't always, because it's tough. It's a very hard thing to do. But I think most people are able to. It's just a question of trusting it.
Can I ask you a question? Last week, you sat here Friday morning and said the stars or whatever it is, if we looked at it, we could have predicted the blizzard.
Well, we could predict that there would be some kind of a sudden event, something that would happen that would be, dramatic and unusual. Now, the nature of Uranus, which is going into its own sign today, which is what this configuration was last week. It was a Mars-Uranus conjunction, and Uranus is the sign of sudden upsets. And Mars is, of course, about a certain amount of violence and aggression and the god of war. It's also our energy, though, which is a tricky kind of a thing, which brings me a little bit to what I wanted to talk about today, which was fairy tales. And one of the fairy tales I was contemplating this week was Peter Pan. And, of course, Peter Pan, the part of Peter Pan we tend to remember is that he didn't want to grow up. But another part of Peter Pan, which I think was that Barry might have been in harmony with thinking of with Carl Jung, was that Peter Pan was very upset when he lost his shadow. He wanted to have...
That was his identity, though.
Well, what it is it's the moon. It's the shadow. It's the unconscious. It's the side of ourselves that we can't verbalize easily, but we need. If we didn't have some place to go in our dreams, some place to try to resolve all those issues that happen to us during the day, we'd probably explode. It's very necessary to have that shadow, that underpinning. So Peter Pan wanted to have his shadow sewed back on so that he made sure that his ability to be in connection with the unconscious was very strong, which is not the part of the story that's given much credit as a rule.
I got to remember the story. You ready to take some calls?
Sure.
Okay, let's start off with a birthday girl today. Doris up in Somers, listening on AM 1310. Doris' date of birth is January 19th, which is today, the year 1921. Good morning, Doris. You're on with Mary Michelle.
Good morning, Doris. Happy birthday. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Did you have a particular question?
No, I just wanted to know what the year has in store for me.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just not finding it that easily. Okay. January 19th, you have the sun in Capricorn, as you know. You have the moon in Gemini. So this gives a certain changeability to the underbelly, to that shadow part that I was talking about. The moon in Gemini, it's, your resolutions are oftentimes more confusing than you would like them to be. It's hard for you, particularly the sun in Capricorn is somebody that wants structure and wants to know where they're going and so on. But with the moon in Gemini, there are too many variables, your unconscious is always dealing with too many variables. You have Mercury in Aquarius, 1 degree of Aquarius. Now this is very interesting because today Uranus is going into its own sign of Aquarius. So it's almost like you're going to have telepathic abilities, or something's going to happen unusual in the way that you communicate with people. You're going to be more insightful than you've ever been. Do you tell stories? Are you good at telling stories to people?
No, but I like to interpret things.
Ah, okay. Well, you're going to have greater and greater insight. You might want to get this book that I'm reading. It's called From the Beast to the Blonde by Marina Warner, and it's all the history of things like Beauty and the Beast and the Sleeping Beauty and things like that, because I think it relates very nicely, or in a feminine kind of way, what makes people tick, as my grandmother would say. All right, so anyway, this is great. This Mercury and Uranus conjunct today. Venus in Pisces, Mars in Pisces. Have you had a little confusion around your relationship issues in the last couple of years?
Only fairly recently.
Uh-huh. Well, I think it was kind of building, and maybe it came to the forefront fairly recently, but it's probably not going to get resolved until the spring. Was there something in particular about it that you wanted to ask me?
But that you're telling me what I want to hear.
Okay. All right.
That's good.
Jupiter in Virgo, you've got luck with money this year. Jupiter's in Capricorn, it's trining Jupiter, so you're if you're making investments or you're worried about money, you've got Saturn in Virgo, so you probably are worried about money.
Well, Capricorn is so judicious that I was hoping to get out of that a little.
Well, as I say, it's going to peak in April, and then it's going to go. I mean, both the money and the relationship issues are connected here. But there is a lot of luck with Jupiter in Jupiter and Capricorn this year. So throughout the year, your health should be good, and the issues around money, you're going to find new ways with this Mercury and Uranus, and the way that you're thinking. You're going to find new ways to deal with this.